Hello and welcome back. So today we are going to dive into the microbiome. And I gotta say, 2 years of reading Crohn's research, I did not think I was ready for this. As I was reading about nutrients and vitamin A and vitamin D and vitamin C and selenium and zinc and iron and all of those good fun things, because I was like, it's all about nutrition. We're nutrient deficient and that's why we have Crohn's, and that's the answer and that's all there is to it. And I know fiber is important for feeding good, healthy gut microbes. But as I kept digging and digging and digging, and this mostly came out of digging for understanding the Crohn's disease exclusion diet, but I have finally discovered that I'm ready to dive into the microbiome. So here we go. We are talking about the bacteria E. coli, or Escherichia E. coli, or Escherichia coli. And if you didn't know, there are different types of E. coli. I didn't know this until about a week ago. So the specific E. coli for Crohn's disease, I would say also ulcerative colitis, but like I said, I'm very focused on Crohn's here at this channel because that is what I have, and they are two different things. And even going into Crohn's more into detail, as I go along, there are different types of Crohn's disease that people have, and we really need to be looking at these diseases as different diseases rather than lumping them all up into inflammatory bowel disease, because they need to be treated differently. But the specific version of E. coli that we are talking about is adherent invasive E. coli, AIEC. And basically what this does is, in people with Crohn's disease, it is higher. Now you may know we have really poor microbial diversity, meaning that we have more of a few microbes and then nothing else. And everybody else has tons and tons and tons of different species and types and phyla and all of this stuff. And we don't have that diversity.
And here they started looking at what's changing in the gut, what transcripts, what organisms are seeing at a higher level in IBD patients, and more on the low end of the diversity. We're probably all quite depleted on a lot of species. And of course, this translates to downstream effects. These upregulated or downregulated numbers of strains has an impact through the lumen, creating all these downstream effects, creating inflammation. Looking at Ibd Microbiome Diversity, this is now IBD patients in the Human Microbiome Project, ranked by their diversity score. So I had my data earlier. This is the IBD, Human Microbiome population set. And in this case, they were just ranked from lowest. The green line represents the healthy plane. So your healthy population is over here on the green line. And the IBD population is a distance away. So how far away? Well, you can just rank them. Some patients are quite far away. That's probably me. And some are pretty close. So what else do we know about these? Why are these patients up here and some are down here? Well, we actually know a little bit more about their background. So let's color this chart. And look, turns out that if you have an ileal Crohn's disease in the ileum and an ileocecal resection, hey, that's me. All those people are bunched up at the top. Look at that. Quite far from the health plane. The next group down is without resection, but still in the ileum. Next group down, colonic, all right, Crohn's disease. Then maybe some UC patients are here. And finally, the greens are the healthy controls.
Ali Arjamand, who has a specific carbohydrate diet. He's specific carbohydrate diet. That's how he's, healed himself with diet. And, with all these different diets, what works for one person may not work for another. And you have to determine for yourself what you feel is feasible, and what is helpful to you. For me, the specific carbohydrate diet, at least at this point in my life, is not feasible, because I have, I'm still working through my eating disorder history. I have a young child. I work full time. I'm trying to start up a business. I have all of these things going on for me that it's too strict, and I can't just take 3-4 months to just focus on figuring out how to eat, which is also frustrating with the Crohn's disease exclusion diet, because I feel like it's the same idea. I just need to learn how to eat differently from what I've always done. But all of that aside, it's very flexible, all of it. It's all a matter of figuring out what's going to work best for you in your life situation, and then what's going to work for your disease. But anyway, so Ali Arjamand has the specific carbohydrate diet protocol. I will link his site into this YouTube video. You should check it out. It's a really well done protocol. It goes through, not just what the diet is and how to follow it, but also, how to get your mindset wrapped around why the diet is important. It's so much more in depth than like reading the Break and the Vicious Cycle book. And it's a really well done program. So definitely check that out. If you're interested in doing the specific carbohydrate diet, I would say that is the way to go, is going through a program like his, rather than just reading the book and trying to figure it out yourself and how it affects Crohn's. And one of the really interesting parts of his clip is that he talks about ileal Crohn's disease being different. And it's the same thing with the adherent invasive E. coli. It lives mostly in the ileum. So if you have ileal dominant Crohn's disease, then this is for you. And it really does, it's like there's different tiers, and essentially you are the least healthiest if you have ileal dominant Crohn's disease and you've had a resection. The tier down is that ileal dominant Crohn's disease is like the next least healthy. And then it goes through the So as far as the cause of this dysbiosis, especially when it comes to E. coli, they have looked at the effects of a high-fat, high-sugar diet in mice, and how that modulates the microbiome. So as far as the high-fat diet, I can link my last video here and go check that out, but there is evidence to show that a high-fat diet is at the very least detrimental to Crohn's, and doing a low-fat diet can help heal. But two, there's not enough research to actually show that sugar is doing anything harmful. I'm trying to find studies to show that sugar alters the microbiome in a negative way, but I'm not seeing that yet. So the flip side of a high-fat, high-sugar diet is that it is low in fiber. And there is a study that I looked at. I should probably link all of these studies I'm finding. I have them all here, so I can link them. But there is evidence to show that it's the low fiber that's causing the microbial diversity shifts, the lack thereof, and then the negative microbiome diversity. That's the low fiber diet. Now, if you think back to your diet before developing Crohn's disease, was it low fiber? Chances are it was. Most Americans have a low fiber diet. So then you're like, well, why doesn't everybody have Crohn's disease? And it's because of the genetic susceptibility. Same thing with cancer. It's the same thing. There's a trigger that turns on cancer for certain people who are genetically susceptible. It's just the way it is. So we are genetically susceptible. That does not mean that it's genetics, throw up our hands, we can't do anything, just inject ourselves with meds and move on with our lives and hope that it works. It's not that simple. And thank God it's not that simple, because it gives us the freedom to work towards finding a different way and actually focusing on the root cause of the problem. It just means we have to try a little bit harder and work a little bit harder with our diet, which sucks, but nothing new for me, because I've had to do it because of my weight my whole life too, which more and more research is that the obesity epidemic could be caused by the same type of issue, not quite the same, but a poor microbiome setup. So all of that being said, it's likely because of a low fiber diet. Now, I don't want the whole I have Crohn's disease and I can't eat fiber thing. You can. You have to do it right. I'm still trying to figure this out for myself. I'm starting to incorporate 3 slices of frozen peaches in my day. Which I just did yesterday. I did fine with that. I'm skipping today, do it again tomorrow. That's the best way to introduce new food into your gut. Very small amount, alternate days, just the one new food for like a week, which I got this idea from the low FODMAP diet. That's how they reintroduce foods. So I'm kind of doing it like that. I've gotten myself, I can eat wheat bread. I eat like probably like 6 to 9 grams of fiber a day, and I have a stricture. So, and I feel fine. You know, I feel good for the most part. I get some pains once in a while, and that's probably from my random binges on pizza that I shouldn't be doing. So, along with the malnutrition, lack of nutrient thing that also happens in Crohn's disease, having dysbiosis, right, so a poor altered microbiome, can also lead to a decreased availability of nutrients. So you could be eating all the nutrients, taking all the supplements, and still not absorbing them because your microbes aren't helping you do that. So it's for a lot of reasons very important to modulate your microbiome into a healthy way. So when it comes to this adherent invasive E. coli, it can stimulate the production of TNF alpha. So if you know anything about inflammatory bowel disease, you know that most of us have elevated TNF alpha, which is a pro-inflammatory immune cell. So this E. coli, which we have an abundance of, increases TNF alpha. And it also can reduce the production of short-chain fatty acids by your other microbes. So the short-chain fatty acids help with intestinal permeability, helps continue a healthy gut microbiome, and then a bunch of other things within the body because we absorb that short-chain fatty acid and we use it. So it helps with like mood, it helps with heart health, all kinds of things, immune health, function. And that's the thing with inflammatory bowel disease is it's not necessarily an overactive immune system. It's not even considered an autoimmune disorder. Your immune system, as far as what they're thinking right now, is attacking your gut microbes, possibly E. coli. So if we have an abundance and our immune system sees E. coli as a negative and it keeps attacking it, you know, the barrier that's getting inflamed and ulcerated is kind of just like in the way, and that's why it's getting destroyed. It's not that your immune cells are targeting your intestinal cells. Additionally, all of the Crohn's diets that are out there have you avoid emulsifiers. These are synthetic emulsifiers created by manufacturers to help with shelf life, stability, taste of food, texture of food. So the specific emulsifiers heavily researched is polysorbate 80, polysorbate 60. You'll see both in a bunch of foods, and carboxymethylcellulose. And then another additive is maltodextrin, which isn't actually classified as an emulsifier, but has very harmful effects on the microbiome and the intestine. But what happens, they gave mice, in their water, they gave them polysorbate 80 and or carboxymethylcellulose and had them ingest it without E. coli in their system. Perfectly fine. No adverse side effects whatsoever. They give the mice the adherent invasive E. coli, and then they give them polysorbate 80 and or carboxymethylcellulose. All of a sudden they have inflammation in their intestines. So as far as these emulsifiers, whether or not they cause Crohn's disease, we don't know yet. Again, a lot of the studies are done on mice, so we need more studies done on humans. But if you look at all of these diets that avoid emulsifiers, tend to work pretty well. And if we have high levels of this E. coli strain in our gut, and then we're eating these emulsifiers, which, I mean, polysorbate is heavily in the food system, especially if you're eating processed foods. Like if you're eating Little Debbie snack cakes, you're eating donuts, you're going out to eat and getting any kind of dessert. If you're eating ice cream ever, there's tons of polysorbate in ice cream. Whipped cream, sometimes it's added to heavy whipping cream, just like in the thing. If you're gonna whip it yourself, it's still not good. It's in like little muffins, like those little mini muffins, anything with a cream frosting, any of the canned frostings it's in. So if you eat any of that stuff on a semi-regular basis and you have a high level of this E. coli strain in your gut, it's fueling your inflammation and it's fueling your Crohn's disease. Whether or not it's causing it, I don't know, but if you already have it, it's fueling it. So that is also another aspect. And then consumption of maltodextrin increases the adhesion of this adherent invasive E. coli. And that increase in the adhesion specifically happens in the ileum. Now, it can happen in other areas of your colon and small intestine, but mostly happens in the ileum. So again, if you have ileal dominant Crohn's disease, this is very important for you. So what can you do? Stop eating the emulsifiers, follow a low-fat diet, slowly, gradually, safely increase your fiber, which I will hopefully do a video on soon on how to do this, but a few quick tips. Puree, cook it until it's dead. Like if you have carrots, you're cooking them, they are mush. They are like safe to give to an infant. Mush. You don't have to puree them if you can tolerate it. You know, diced up. I usually dice mine really finely and steam it until it can, like, you literally want to put it on your tongue and mash it, and it should mash just fine. Small, tiny quantities. Like, it's ridiculous. You're gonna feel stupid. You're gonna cook one baby carrot and eat a quarter of it, like this much carrot, and you're gonna do that every other day for a week, and then you can eat a little bit more and not add any other food. It's gonna feel stupid how slow you have to do this, but it is the safest way, especially if you know you have a stricture. It is the safest way to increase your fiber. And it has been shown that increasing your fiber consumption can make your stricture shorter, like less of a stricture. So you have less of one. Not that it's making it a smaller diameter, but it's making, like, if you have a 10 centimeter stricture, it's going to make it like a 2 centimeter. Which means that eventually when you do have surgery, because you have scar tissue, they have to take out less, which is really good. And none of this is necessarily in absence of medicine. Like, if you feel comfortable taking a biologic, you're on a biologic, you feel comfortable, you're going to start one, whatever, do it. Definitely, absolutely, I recommend do it. But diet's going to give you that little oomph. These biologics have like a 16%, 45% success rate. And that's within months of taking it. The diet, if you do the Crohn's disease exclusion diet, 80% success rate. Specific carbohydrate, 46% success rate. So that 46% with specific carbohydrate plus the 40% of the, like, Entyvio or whatever, you're up to like 80% chance of remission, and you're healing and you're feeling good. So this is, all of it can be in combination. Now, if you're somebody like me who's frightened of the biologics and not doing it, it's even more critical that you have to be good with your diet. You have to be strict, you have to figure it out, and you got to do it. So food is the medicine. And it's about, like, the low fat diet, high fiber diet, very slowly, very gradually, very safely. And feeding your body what it needs and avoiding the things that are going to hurt you. Any questions, comments, feedback, please leave it below. I would love to speak with you. Come check me out on Instagram. I have changed my handle, Happy Healthy Crohn's, something like that. I will link it. It's in my about thing too. And my website, check that out. Again, I'll work on that fiber video next, I believe. And be sure to like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, definitely, for new insights, new research, and new tidbits on Crohn's disease and diet. And I look forward to speaking with you next time.